Hey everybody, it's Leilani with the Magical Solution. Happy Sunday, December 3rd, first Sunday of Advent. I'm coming on here because I was getting a few questions with regards to my apprenticeship program, because my Wix website doesn't allow me to write more than I think it's 300 or 700 words in a description of an event or of a class. So I really couldn't get into detail about what the apprenticeship program is about, which was why I sent out in full detail everything that it's about in our December's newsletter. But a lot of people did not see my advertisements for the apprenticeship program and therefore didn't sign up for my email newsletter until after the December one had already went out. So I figured, you know what, let me just make a video. I'll just make a video for those who have been inquiring, and I'll make sure to post it everywhere. So the apprenticeship program. So this program is intended for people who are interested in spiritual development and taking it to the next level. So developing your mediumship, developing your faculties, developing your healing, developing your magic, your personal magic, developing a strict spiritual routine, or mystic routine, if that's better phrased for you. This program is intended to create more people who are able to then serve their community from a perspective of good character, of good, moral high ground, with a good head on their shoulders, who follow their higher self, their higher spirits, who have a clean head. And this program will facilitate all of that, will train the adept to be able to do all of those things, which will then lead to the later half of the year, which will be things like deep diving into healing, deep diving into community service, deep diving into our own education and our own intuitions, so that we may then help others. It's also going to deep dive into our, leadership skills and public speaking skills, so that we can then, host ceremonies and write prayers and write rituals, etc., etc. So it's a full spectrum that really covers this idea of mysticism, this idea of magic, this idea of Espiritismo from an Afro-Caribbean perspective, as well as a Kardecian perspective. So all of this, and it's also very nature-based as well. So all of this is going to be sort of, condensed, if you will, into this 13-month program, so that the adept graduates and is baptized into this new way of life that will help them to walk the path in a much more purified manner, in a much more clear and focused manner, and with their abilities and their faculties, really sharpened and really developed, so that they can serve their community better, whether it's just for themselves or whether they are seeking to open up their own, spiritual, programs. I feel like this program, this apprenticeship program, will help them to do just that, and it will also help to give them a built-in community with which to practice on, with which to develop together and to heal together and things like that. So it's a very beautiful program. It's a very in-depth program. It's going to require, research. It's going to require hands-on. It's going to require coming out of comfort zone. It's going to require you to do a lot of practice. I don't do anything half-ass, and I think that's the Virgo in me. I don't do anything half-ass. So my classes, whether they're just my one-off classes that are 45 minutes long, or they're my intensive classes that are 2 hours long, either way, it's going to be an intense class. There's going to be a lot of information. There's going to be a lot of expectation. There's going to be a lot on the part of the student to be able to walk away feeling confident that they know a particular piece of information that I'm offering. And that's the same that goes with my apprenticeship programs. This isn't, it may appear on paper to be a very like lax situation because I kind of break everything down by month. But when we actually dive into it, you are literally doing something every day towards your spiritual practice. And that is something that, you know, we do together. We plan it out together. There is a lot of one-on-one mentorship that is occurring during the apprenticeship program. There's a lot of group activities that occur during the apprenticeship program. So there's, you know, you are getting the full gambit, the full experience of what it means to go through a process that will be challenging, that will cause you to purify and to purge, and will have you coming out better on the other side, you know, and that's my goal. It always has been my goal. It's worked for the last 10 years on every student that I've ever had, and it's going to work again virtually with the students that I will be getting this year. Really, what determines how great this program can go will be the student themselves. That's why it costs what it costs. That's why there's work involved, and that's why it's not meant for everybody. So if you feel like you are ready to take on these big steps, and you are ready to put in that work, then definitely look into the program for sure. Now, I do recommend that before applying to my apprenticeship program, so again, I do this every year, so don't feel rushed to have to do it this year. But I do encourage that everyone who might be interested in my apprenticeship program, I highly encourage that you take my spiritual development intensive course first. This is sort of like the 101. This is the foundation. This will really give you a very strong root in what it is that the apprenticeship program is going to then expand upon and make you go deeper into. And so that intensive program, I promise you, will set you up for success if you do that first prior to going into the apprenticeship program. Now, the spiritual development intensive, I host that twice a year. I've already done the last semester. That's already been completed. I will start taking applications for the next semester in February. It'll start in February. But for those who do not want to wait, I also have a Patreon. And the very last level of the Patreon, the last tier of the Patreon, is basically the spiritual intensive development course. Like, it's basically just that with like a few extra fun little things thrown in too, because, you know, it's Patreon. We want to have fun with it. But that's basically what that is. So when you pay that monthly fee, you're getting the opportunity to take that development class without having to wait for the next round that I do. And, you know, so that's just another option in case you're interested in that. But overall, that's pretty much, in a nutshell, what it is like overall. Now, if you want me to break it down even further, as in describe to you what each month is going to entail, I can do that for you as well, too, if you're interested. But for the most part, that's what it's going to be. To register for the program, you have to first get an assessment done. And that assessment is a two-way street. So you and I, we will sit together. I will consult spirits to see what it is that you need to be working on, you need to be doing at this time in order to prepare you for this apprenticeship program. I will also, you know, be interviewing you, and you will be interviewing me to see if you and I have a right fit for each other. And that's important. That's very important. You definitely don't want to commit to anything that you're not comfortable committing to, or you don't want to trust anyone with your spiritual journey that you're not like, that you don't know well, you know, and I would never ever ask you to do that. So the assessment is so necessary. And then after the assessment, there will be something that you would need to complete within 9 days. And then after that, you will write a formal essay or letter of interest that will be very specific to what the spirits want you to write about. And then you will wait for your acceptance and or rejection letter. And that's it. Anyway, this is how we grow. Thanks for listening.